Hi, it's Eva. I'm back. I went ahead and took some time to look up the Bible verses that have to do with generational curse breakers, the main ones. And I put in my threads off Instagram account, it's just my full name, all lowercase, Eva Violet, like the purple flowers, Sanford, like Sanford and Son. And anyway, I put a ton of prayers, video prayers, a lot of information, like TED Talks about generational curse breakers, and just a whole lot of information in case you all are interested. Okay, looks like Exodus 25 and Ezekiel 18:19 through 20. And then also Galatians 3:13, which the Galatians one is basically just talking about Jesus's covenant and like how his crucifixion was supposed to be, like the ultimate curse breaker. So it was supposed to wipe out like kind of the need for all this other stuff, but I haven't done enough to know more about that. But I know in the Exodus one and Ezekiel, they're talking about promises made in the Old Testament by God where he says something like he talks about fathers if they're have debts on earth. Like, I'm not talking about financial debts. I'm talking about things they've done, like I guess maybe sins or like broken laws or something that was like fundamental. And he said something like the third and fourth generations of the family lineage would have to then make up for what that father had done wrong. Which, I mean, if you look at world history, I mean, especially in Asian culture, it's pretty common for them to pass along, well, those are more financial, but it's a lot more like in places where ancestors are more revered. I mean, I wouldn't say America's like that, but definitely Native American cultures and Mediterranean countries are really into curse breaker and family curses. That's like part of their, even though it's Christian, they add the ancestor part into it. And then let's see where else. Well, of course, Africa. But like in other countries where ancestors are heavily represented, I guess, in their daily practices, India. But America, it's like, I'm gonna have to look up a whole lot more about this, but I do know that the casting out of demons, and I mean, that's been going on forever. I mean, especially in like Pentecostal churches. I mean, that's like American, that's not unheard of at all. But this sort of new emphasis on your own immediate family is kind of what I'm really interested in. And I mean, my family's Italian American, and so of course they have a lot of lore about family of past generations, so that I find all that stuff super interesting. So in terms of like, I think last time I talked about there's the spiritual aspect So that would be more like the curse breakers. So if you're coming at it from, this is a spiritual warfare in our home, and that's the way you're coming at it, from like a good versus evil, like almost like a C.S. Lewis perspective, you know, that's gonna be the spiritual war. Whereas if you're talking about intergenerational trauma or generational trauma, whichever, it's like the same thing. That's going to be more like science-based and based on like your DNA and your genotype. So that's not religiously based. That's more just like hard science. Like how people think, well, they don't think. There's evidence that like